Hi everyone, welcome to Homeschool Autism Life. My name is Jamie and today I am doing a plan with me for the Gather Round unit of Asia. And I am so pumped and excited. This is the first unit that we're starting off in less than a week's time. And I did Asia for a really specific reason. In August, we had the Summer Olympics of Tokyo, yes, 2020, and we watched some of them. We didn't spend tons and tons of time watching, but it was in my children's frame of reference because mommy likes watching the Olympics, and so they have that. And we're starting our first day of school off with a bang, having our own Olympics here in our house. I'm going to have a video kind of showing what that looks like, and I am super pumped and excited. It's going to be a great way to start and kick off the year. Another reason why I'm doing Asia as the first is because the Winter Olympics are actually happening also in Asia, in Beijing, for the winter ones of Beijing 2022. And so it will be, we're not stretching Asia all the way out into February, but it will be in their conscious thoughts as a part of our school year that we will be watching some of those. And so I'm really pumped and excited to kind of be like, this is our Olympic year and this is how we're going to start the year. So the first thing, and I don't know if you had watched the previous video on how I plan our year from like the yearly stuff to weekly, how we do it, and then their daily schedule. I will leave a link down below for that video. But the first thing that I do is I kind of plot it out on my planner pages how long the unit is going to take. And I literally do that by writing in each lesson. So for the first lesson, we're going to do the Olympics, our own family Olympics. But then for the first lesson is going to be the introduction, and then I'm taking lesson 13, which is the Japan lesson, and I'm moving that forward. And I find it really easy to do that generally, to kind of shift things around sometimes just by, like omitting some of the, okay, we're going to go north to the next country or whatever, and just read it in a way. Today we're going to talk about Japan. It's going to be awesome. So we're going to take some time to do that, but I'm really excited because we're also taking this week off because my husband has time off. And so our year is going to come with some starts and stops, but that's okay. We haven't really done a family vacation where we actually stayed overnight somewhere. And so I'm kind of interested to see how that happens for my son. But I was able to kind of plot it out. I like to do a unit study with Gather Round for about 6 weeks with a transition week in between, and I'm kind of sticking to that, but I will explain something a little bit later when it comes to doing Europe on the heels of Asia. So I will explain that in a little bit, but my starting off point is plotting out each lesson so that I know where I want to do things, where I want to kind of take little breaks and stuff like that. And since we had just talked about Japan and all of that, I wanted to do that. The next thing that I do is I plan out what I'm going to do for read alouds. So our read alouds for this unit is going to be, and the word came with power. And I really did want a certain amount of emphasis on the missionaries that have gone before and what their impact was. And so I do, I have on my wish list all of the ones from, what is it called? There's like 100 of them, but I have it on my wish list, which was all done about all the missionaries, and I will leave a link down below because I cannot for the life of me remember off the top of my head. But this is a book that isn't in that group of books, but I'm really excited to read this with my kids. She was a missionary to the Philippines, and so that is a book we're going to read for a read aloud. We're also going to do the Emmanuel Project, which I thought was quite interesting. I'll just read the back. An archaeologist and his adventure son are recruited by a team of Israeli physicists to participate in a top secret time travel project. Transported back to the first century Palestine, the son journeys across the Holy Land in search of the Rabbi Jesus, bearing witness to the birth of Christianity. So I thought that this might be a fun adventure story, not just a biography. And then we're also going to read Peter the Great. Now, if you've done Asia before, you're probably going, wait a minute, they don't actually have Russia in Asia. And I know this is why this is at the end, and we are going to go directly from Asia into Europe, because in the Europe unit study, Russia is like the first lesson that they have. And the reason why is because we do a map project where the kids will actually draw the maps or color the maps on each of the countries as we go through. And I just couldn't leave Asia without coloring the map of Russia, which is the biggest country in Asia, and I couldn't just leave it with that. So I am going to kind of just like put them back to back so that I'm not tearing all that stuff down and then not have Russia colored, because I couldn't do it. So I'm weird, but I just couldn't. So we're gonna go straight into Russia or Europe from Asia. We're going straight into Europe so that Russia can be a part of the Asia study, and my students, my children, don't kind of go, wait a minute, it was in the Europe study. I know it's transcontinental, and that's the right word, right? But I was like, I cannot leave it there. So planning wise, it just means that I have to be ready for Europe right after. And I don't think that that's going to be too bad of a problem. So the next thing is the signed books. Now, my children have different reading ability. My 11-year-old, she loves she loves reading, is a ferocious reader, and so her books are a lot thicker, but she wanted to read, I gave her a choice of 2 different ones, and she wants to read Lion, The Long Way Home. And I need to watch this movie again just to make sure that there's nothing too graphic or whatever, but we will probably watch that movie as well. And then for my Sienna, we are doing The Great Wall. And she has struggled to read, but she is definitely an emerging reader, and I'm so excited about how far she's come. She's caught up to her grade level, but she is wary of chapter books. And so this one, I thought, because it has lots of pictures, and there is a lot of words, paragraphs and stuff like that, it might be a good middle ground to start with. So I'm really excited about that for her. We're doing something a little bit different where I'm not having them do a book report style, but more of a narration style writing after each chapter or each 2 pages. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that with Sienna's book, but I just found that they really struggled with their book reports, and so I want to change it up a little bit, give them a chance to just do it in a little bit different style, and maybe I'll do another video about that later. So the other thing that I do is I do Digging for the Truth. I've mentioned this in several of my videos. There was only one for Asia at this time, which I was kind of like, oh, but there's lots for Europe. So like I said, if you can get your hands on Digging for the Truth, they are awesome, and my kids actually enjoy watching them. And then I have this book, In the Wild, or Wild in the Streets, and it's just some poems about wild animals that live in the streets, and there was, I think, 4 or 5 in Asia, and so I kind of keep this on the back burner so that I can read them when we hit those countries. And what else? Oh, and I was going to say, this will also be a read aloud. It is a library book. You can't see that, but there's a library tag. I read this to my son because he likes Magic School Bus, and I thought it would be perfect. So yeah, we're going to read that one as well. And then something else that I do with my kids, and you can tell that I'm not quite prepared. I do a big poster, or a banner, excuse me, that I put on over our table. And so I've got that ready to go for this next year. And then another thing that I do every single year, what I started last year was a passport for every unit that it applies to, specifically continents, but I did do some space ones because I'm weird. I'm weird like that. But there's some of their South American stamps, and what I do is I go online and Google, and I type in each country that we're going to do in each lesson, and I actually make a stamp, and then every morning we put a brand new stamp in their passport, and it's so much fun, and it's so nice to see after the year where they have been, quote unquote. So that's another thing that I tend to do. And then this year I actually did something that I didn't do the years before, where each lesson I filled out, and then I went to YouTube and found as many of the videos as I could for the entire year, mainly because I knew I was going to have to be ready for Europe as well. And so I didn't want to be like trying to do this each week. And so I'm really excited to have these done. Some of our favorite YouTube channels is Geography Now and Drew Binsky, who is somebody who has traveled almost to every single country, and he's really good about showing you not the touristy side of the country, but also what the people are like, how they live, what they eat, how much he can get for $10 US. And so those types of things, which is actually quite a lot of fun. The other thing that we're going to be doing is Torchlight episodes on Right Now Media. And I'm really excited. I've got one about missionaries in China, India, Korea, and Thailand. And then I have a bunch for Europe as well. So I'm really excited about that. So some other books that we are going to have just in our magazine rack here are 3 Cups of Tea, and I believe that this is a story about Pakistan. Some of these books I'm like, I don't know if we'll get to, but I know especially chapter books are going to be something that I can use the next time we use Asia. The Endless Step is about Russia. Again, I'm keeping Russia books in my Asia thing, even though we're going to talk about it in Europe, because I recognize that it's the biggest country in Asia. And so I will have those out for Europe as well. Shooting Kabul, which is another book. It got a seal for children's writing and stuff. So again, we might not read it this year, but we will later. Who Was Mother Teresa? I did purchase the recipe book. My daughter is a huge fan of cooking, and so she likes to leaf through these as well. If the World Were a Village. Now this one I bring out every continent study, just talking about what it would be like if there was a lot more peace and a lot less fighting. Let's Go Explore Galilee. So there's some places to go, sights to see, cultures to experience, curiosities to consider, words to work on. And so there's a lot of cool pictures and stuff to look at. Spy Again. This is kind of a funny, silly one that I am enjoying looking at, but I think it'll be interesting to kind of pick and choose because, you know, KGB stories and stuff like that. Next book is Where is the Kremlin? And this one is Alexander von Humboldt. We have been using this as a read aloud for quite a while, but he goes back to Europe, but also spends some time in Asia. I'm not sure how many pages actually deal with his visit to the Far East, but I wanted to include it. And then children just like me. So there's a bunch of different boys and girls that you can actually look up what their favorite foods are, what their favorite pets are, that sort of thing. And I like to do one page on just talking about that sort of thing. So last but not least, we live in a community of a lot of retired or people going away. What is the word? They go on furlough. Got it. And we have some missionaries from Pakistan who are on furlough just next door. So that's a resource I like to tap, and they made us this little care package. It includes calendars of people and places, spices, you know, just a whole bunch of different things. She got them little coin purses. They are just lovely. And if they're actually in town, they may be moving, I don't know, but if they're actually in town, I might have her come and talk to us on the day that we look into Pakistan. So that is literally how I am planning and moving forward for the first unit of our year. I am super pumped and excited to see how it works, how much we learn and grow and change. And yeah, if you guys have questions about any of this, feel free. I will actually leave link down below the video that I got. The book outlet actually had most of these books. I got a whole bunch for the whole year because I'm weird like that, but I will leave it link down below in case you're wondering where I got some of these. And yeah, I hope that you are having a wonderful, wonderful day and planning. If you're into your homeschool, I hope that you are having a wonderful time. Yeah. God bless you all, and we will see you in our next video, probably about the first day of school. I'm so excited about it. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.